And today, we are talking big swim baits. And as normal, we got Brian here, got me, and we got Casey.
How's it going?
Some of you know Casey from, he used to work at Fisherman's Warehouse.
I did.
And that's a little bit into his fishing addiction. So let me get this put in place. Casey, how long you been fishing? What got you into it? Give me a background while I set the camera up.
Yeah, I've been fishing since as long as I can remember. My dad got me fishing. My first fish, I believe, was at either Berryess, I think, a bluegill or a catfish. And I've been enjoying it ever since I can remember. My dad grew up taking me to Clear Lake on a bunch of trips. Just having a good time. You know, we always use like the shiners and minnows that they sell with bobbers, just catching a lot of 3 to 4 pounders, having a good time. And then I want to say when I was 10 or 11, I went on my first ever guided trip that he paid for with, I believe, Ross England. Does that sound familiar?
Nice.
Yeah.
And so you do drop shot all day.
Exactly. Drop shot, brush hog. And it was a good time. And that kind of really like piqued it. And yeah, but other than that, I mean, camping all year, whether it's any of our local lakes out here, the river, you know, trout, bass, catfish, crappie, bluegill. I did it all growing up. I just enjoyed fishing, being outdoors.
Like all of us.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the big swim baits, what got me into that was watching, I think, a lot of tactical bassing and Crazy Bass Fisher on YouTube. And just watching the size and the reactions that the fish were getting from the baits and how they were moving. And I just thought it was so cool. And then we went camping, and I went to the old Dobbins factory they had up in Yuba City.
Nice.
And I got my first ever sort of swim bait rod for small swim baits, which was the 734 Champion. And I was throwing the S-Waver on it, 168 baby bass.
Great bait.
Yeah, great bait.
Yeah.
I learned how to tune it that same summer, like shave down the sides, do all that, weigh a hook if you need to. And I was having, 10 plus fish days in the middle of summer with it. And, not big ones, 2 to 4 pounders, but I mean, it just made me, like, my drive just went way higher for the whole swim bait game.
And now you're into
now you're into the real swim baits.
Yeah. Now I'm into
not the S-Wavers, but the real swim baits.
Yeah, I don't even actually own any S-Wavers now, which is kind of sad.
So like, is this time of year, is this like the time we should be starting to?
Is this the swim bait time?
Swim bait time, or?
Yeah, definitely. I would say when those fish are sort of transitioning, depending on what lake, of course. Like say it's the Delta or the river. Those fish definitely are chasing a lot of bait right now. So a glide or like a soft, like bigger Kitech, can do really well on that bodies of water. A wake bait as well, with these cooler days in the fall transition, do really well for the river. And then a lot of our local lakes around us, whether it's Clear Lake or any of these other lakes around us, have hitch or trout or anything where they have a bigger bait fish in their bodies of water where they'll go and eat that big bait, and it's natural for them to do that. So whether it's a glide, soft bait, wake bait, crank down, any of those, I definitely recommend this time of year, all year. But this time, if you're trying to get the biggest fish that you want to catch.
Awesome. So what'd you bring us?
I brought a lot. I brought some, 250s, some bent baits, a bunch of soft baits, a bunch of UFOs, some Sensei swim baits, some Boulder Creek craws, loony baits. I brought the exclusive Hinkle trout, a Mag X. Yeah.
So what's your confidence bait? How do you start your day? What is your I'm gonna go fishing, I'm gonna go throw this time of the year?
So this time of year, I would say my confidence bait's a glide, whether it's a 250 or my Hinkle or my bent
Single joint, double joint,
A single
all single
joint.
joint.
So
Yeah.
do you have that?
I do, yeah. So this would be like the 250 I throw right now. I throw this guy a lot. This is the OG Butch Brown Bluegill 250. I throw this guy a lot. This is the UFO Space Invader. This is the 675. Very good for like our gill bodies of water, for that aspect. And then like say like Clear Lake, as everyone knows, they got Hitch, Big Shad there. I like going with a Tiny Clash. This is the Working Class Zero collab one. Really good bait.
Super pretty.
Does phenomenal. And I actually tuned that one. As you can see, I have a 2 gram weight on it, because DRT baits are a low float, so they will stay high up in the water, but once you start moving the bait, they go down. So I tuned this one to where it suspends for me. So once I actually start working it, it's like a suspend to like an extra slow sink. And then if I shave this down even a little more, I can get it to where it'll just barely start rising up.
So you can
again.
get that like that stall out basically.
Exactly, yeah. And then I can still keep it high up in the water column if I want to. But yeah, my confidence bait is definitely my Hinkle trout. It's a giant bait, 11 inches, around 9.5 ounces, I believe. I just caught my personal best on it, 8-pounder, 23.5 inches. Stoked on that. Got it on Cast to Catch as well.
Where's that at?
Hinkle trout is going to be right here. So this is the Hinkle trout. I have this paired on the 8.6 XX Heavy Standard Issue Lowdown Custom Rod with a Calcutta Conquest MD 400 long handle. And that is custom
And
painted.
to put in perspective, the Hinkle trout. I do not have large hands, but that's compared to the hand.
Yeah. And
That's like a 1.5 pound rainbow trout.
Nah, like a 1 pound rainbow.
yeah, it's believe it or not, you know, the rainbow trout are very oily, very nutritious for the bass. I've seen 3-4 pounders, you know, eat a 2 pound trout, no problem, because you gotta think they're really slimy, they're pretty narrow, and they could just go down very easy. You know, they don't have, their bones are really small, soft. Trout's just one of the best proteins, and thankfully a lot of our lakes around us do have them as a main food source. So, but yeah.
How long can you throw that?
I threw this bait actually today for, I would say, 7 hours.
Gee. How's your
Yeah.
shoulder?
And how big is the rod?
The rod is an 8.6 XX Heavy Standard Issue Lowdown Custom. Ben Donati makes them. I believe that's rated 6 to 13 ounces, 6 to 12 ounces. So it throws this 9-ounce bait perfectly fine. No
I was
problems.
gonna say, but that's what it would make it so it's easier to throw is because you have the
Exactly.
right rod.
Yeah, and that rod has a very nice, good backbone to it, and a soft action taper to the front as well. We'll just set this down here. Doesn't matter.
It's too long.
Yeah, exactly.
And how much
Is the bait?
Yeah, let's go with that. How much is a bait like that? That's your confidence bait, right?
Yeah. So the Hinkle trout, if you could find them, they resell anywhere from $500 to $750. Used condition, new condition, doesn't matter. Especially if you get an OG one, Piz paint, which is the most prized possession, those go for around $750, $800, depending. But this one, if you get them from Andrew Hinkle, it's typically like a 7 to 8 month wait just to get a respawn usually, and then like a year, say a year to get a bait from him. So it's like $220 for the blank, but you gotta wait a year. So it's kind of, I thought it was worth it. Instead of paying $750 just to get one, I could pay $220. But I waited. I was able to get one, and then I had my buddy Corey Schill. He's a custom painter, lives in Vacaville. Really good, does a really good job. I have a couple baits painted by him, and usually most of my blanks go to him when I get them.
And that's from like Facebook, Instagram, or something like that? Or
Yeah, Instagram.
Does he paint for other people, or just you have to know him to?
No,
get
yeah,
him to
he
paint?
paints. You could send him any baits you want. Yeah, I believe his Instagram's CSJ 1500, and does amazing work. He's done batches for UFO before, Stray Rats, a lot of good companies. But UFO ones, like I believe, are some of his highly sought after paints that he's done.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So for the most part, you said you'd be throwing glides right now. What kind of things are you looking for, like, that you're looking to throw glides? Like, is there a certain kind of scenario or setup? Or...
Yeah. So I look for, depending on the water temp and how much it's dropped, plays a big factor as well. But for a lot of the bodies of water I fish, typically are smaller. I do shore fish and kayak fish a lot in those. You know, a lot of them are really grassy too. The grass doesn't die till the end of the year pretty bad, but they're trout stocked. So a lot of the stalker trout that I've noticed too are really high in the water column because they're used to being in a, you know, confined space. So they stay really high.
Yeah, they don't even like go under like 10 foot.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Most of the time, like if you see them, they stay pretty high up.
Yeah, like today I couldn't tell you how many times I had footage on my GoPro of trout literally getting chased on top of the water, and you just see a bass come up and just smoke them. It's ridiculous. And I typically, with this time of year, some of the grass is starting to die, so I try to find some of that healthier grass depending on the depth range, because the water temp still is dropping, so those fish aren't dirt shallow, but they are shallow eating the trout. Typically that 8 to 12 foot of range, depending on some of the reservoirs and lakes. But healthy grass, they still will sit in that. Also, a lot of the lakes too around us have Wagasaki or silver sides for the bait fish in them. So you'll see a lot of schools still of bass eating those up shallow in 5 feet minus water.
Yeah.
And I was catching some fish on the Tiny Clash trying to imitate those. And they're like 3-inch bait fish, but you know, they see something a little bigger.
Yeah,
they
come up at it.
Exactly.
What were you catching them on?
This bait right here. Yeah, the
That
working class here, the Tiny Clash.
Tiny Clash.
Yeah.
The pretty one.
Yeah.
Shad looking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is what I actually caught fish on at Clear Lake this year too in the BBT tournament, and then also last year fishing, I believe, one of your guys' tournaments at Clear Lake. I caught one in March, I believe, on it as well.
So that has different tails that goes with that.
Correct.
bait.
And I did bring those.
Which, is there a certain tail position that you tend to run it?
Yeah, so I typically like to use the whale tail, which would be one of these guys. That's the whale tail if you want to show them that. And there's a mode A and mode B. I fish it.
Yeah, if you
B.
look, you can see it's tilted still, like it's not completely lined up.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go upside, downside.
Yeah, so if you do it upside, you can put a lip in it. And when you do that, and you put the lip in, it creates a dead walk mode. So you're dead walking the bait, and the bait's just doing this under the water and kind of dead walking in place.
Dead walking would be like walking a spook, basically.
Exactly. And I like it for a presentation of colder water fish that don't want to move a lot. The bait's more subtle, and especially with that lip down there and a weight how I suspend them, you're down there. So you don't have to do a lot with the bait. Any kind of real twitch with how these baits are, that whole bait just flashes, and especially with that flashy color. That flash isn't a whole lot, you know, and plus it has rattles too. So there is a little bit of noise going on. But the main way I like fishing this,
and all that making noise too.
Exactly. The main way I like to fish it is mode B with the tail tips pointed down in a glide mode. And I like burning that, especially at Clear Lake. I have done really well there, gliding it, especially when they're on that hitch pattern.
And that's
really
without
like that
lip,
bait.
right?
Yes, without lip, correct. Lip out, mode B tail. And then you can obviously put the other tail in, I believe the V tail, not the whale tail, but the V tail, and it kind of imitates more of a bait fish pattern, which would be these guys, as you can see, more of that natural bait fish tail looking style. And those
would come straight off the body, no crisscross.
Exactly. And those do really well also.
Now, does it matter if you put this in right side up or upside down, or does that change it at all?
I typically, what I noticed is I like putting the bigger side kind of down bottom because it sticks out. Yeah, the longer side. Just because I feel like it gives them a little bit of extra room. Like, personally for me, I kind of like it. It looks better in my opinion compared to that. I just think with the longer tail sticking out, it looks more natural compared to what I've seen with shad and other sort of bait fish.
I do know with an S waver, if you take the tail out and flip it, it acts different.
Yeah.
If you change the tail, just changing the, like flipping it over can change the action of an S-waver.
Yeah.
I don't know what it does for it.
That's why I
Penny
think
class.
they brought out those 2 different tails that you can use. And then with those, they make a wide lip, a deep lip, a short lip, a bent lip. You can do so many different ways and fish these baits so many different ways. That's why.
Yeah, I've heard of people taking that tiny clash and like actually like dredging the bottom with it, like ticking the bottom with whatever lip and stuff like that.
They chew it. That bait, yeah. Mike Gilbert actually made a video on them, and it was like the future swim baits is already here, and that was like 5 years ago when no one really knew about DRT, and now they're like a sought after item. Most like Clear Lake Outdoors and a bunch of Coyote Bait and Tackle, bigger actual tackle stores carry these baits and sell them. Like Clear Lake Outdoors got their custom color this year. Clear Lake Hitch, phenomenal color. I use that too. Caught a lot of fish up there on that.
Yeah, it's surprising how many baits have a Clear Lake Hitch color where like they actually are like, we know this is what we want to match.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and it is interesting how much those same, like they all call them Clear Lake Hitch, but they vary so much in actual color. Like it depends on how youthful that hitch is and how old it is what each color range is.
Exactly, and the seasons too. Like summer hitch and winter hitch, one's lighter and one's darker.
Yeah. What's happening, Matlock? Matlock says hi too.
Hey Matt, how you doing?
So for the most part, you're throwing glides, and you're looking for now.
Now that depends also, because I will
if you're
throw softies.
Yes, we can get into softies a little bit later on.
Okay.
So are you throwing? You're obviously not throwing the same thing if you were at Clear Lake right now versus if you were at, say, Berryessa, Malones, any of those other ones, like the Clearwater Lakes versus like stained water or
Shallow
Delta
water,
or anything like that. Like you're changing it up, right? There's no like one size fits all for any of that.
There is with those lakes, like I was saying earlier, how they do have like Clear Lake and the Delta have hitch and split tail or blackfish and have those bigger bait fish or golden shiner. The mother lodes of Berry have trout.
Yeah.
So I kind of resemble as, a blackfish or a hitch can get up to 8-10 inches, no problem, and so can a trout, especially when they're stocked. And then some of our lakes have native trout, which helps as well. So they're used to that schedule about how they'll set up and what they eat. Because I've seen fish shoot up 30 plus feet for a bait.
Yep.
I've
heard stories of it. I don't actually know that, but I've heard stories of, especially with like the bigger glides, throwing them over the top of humps or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the stories I hear. I've never been able to make it happen.
We got a question for you.
Okay.
With throwing a $750 lure, what test line would you throw?
Depends. So if I'm fishing, say, it depends the water temp. So sometimes if the water temp is a little colder in the bait, so the Hinkle I have, they vary. They all vary in the sink rates. Especially, I change out my hardware on them as well. I run 2 size 6 decoy split rings, if you want to show those, and then I run a 1/0 quad decoy S21 quads.
So a quad has 4 points instead of 3.
Yeah, and those I think are some of the stickiest hooks. I did have that 8-pounder roll hooks on them. They didn't bend out; it just rolled the tips, and they were still sticky. But I caught, I don't know, 6 fish on those hooks, and then that 8, and then they bent out. But I throw it on either 25-pound P-Line CXX, which is a co-poly. And I like that for the colder water temps and warmer, depending though on where those fish are located in the water column. That tends to keep my bait higher in the water column and act as those stalking trouts will, really high, keep it wide glide.
That's the co-poly will.
Yep. And then
the co-poly itself will keep that up.
Exactly. And then I throw Seaguar and Vizex 20 and 25-pound. I typically, on some of our lakes around us, get really clear. Y'all have 15 plus feet of visibility. And that lighter line, I do believe, downsizing to upsize your bites. And that really, in my opinion, does help. Like this time of year when I know it's raining, I know I can get away with the copolymer, I will. Or if it's a really windy day, they can't really see.
That's good.
Yeah, as good, exactly. And that also helps play into a factor of getting bit on those bigger baits. You know, overcast, wind conditions, you got to use all that to your favor. Water clarity.
So when you're talking about when you're throwing these, your best days are like a duck hunter day, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Windy, rainy, stormy. That's where you'd rather throw these.
Yeah, the three
times where everybody wants to stay home,
exactly.
but they're really the best days to be on the water.
Exactly. Yeah. The nastiest season is the best season for big baits. Your chance to get your biggest fish, your biggest bag.
What's your theory behind that? Do you know? Do you have like a
So I'm a big believer in chasing the moon, chasing the thermocline, the pressure drops, all that stuff. And like I've had days where the new moon will set up and I've had really good success on that, or a full moon, like night fishing on a full moon, and it's lights everything up, because I believe some fish are nocturnal, only feed at night, especially on heavy pressure bodies of water. I think it just feels more natural to them that, you know, they have those lateral lines going down them, so they have a really good sense of feeling movement of the water.
And then moving water with something like this.
Exactly.
You can home that in from a distance.
Yeah.
You're feeling that big of a pressure.
I've scoped at night with glides, and you can see fish just start shooting off the bottom and have wolf packs fighting over it. You know, I have actually cast to catches on my Instagram as well of fish like coming up on scope where I'm doubling up in the middle of winter throwing gill baits, where you think they wouldn't be eating gills in the middle of winter.
What kind of gills?
I was throwing this bait right here. This is the UFO 6-inch crake down, 3 to 6 feet, and I throw that guy on either 20-pound P line or 17-pound.
Put it in perspective. The hand.
And Vizex. Yeah, it's a 6-inch. That's painted by Garrett Customs. I have that painted as a Delta gill, but it kind of just looks like all the gills around us, in my opinion. That nice orange chin on it, solid green dark back, the spot. I've had a lot of success on that. I've probably caught in 40 plus fish on that bait, and I mean, as you can see, the paint still holds up.
Yeah,
the rash isn't bad at all.
Yeah, it actually doesn't even look like you've caught 40 off of it.
Exactly, and I mean, it
has a UFO right on the nose too.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yep, and on the bill as well. Yeah, Eric at UFO, he does a phenomenal job. I've learned a lot of my swim bait knowledge from him, going out with him a bunch. And
what kind of rod do you throw that on?
That's a Lowdown Custom. That's the medium light workshop. That's a 1/2 ounce to 3 ounce rod, and I also use that double.
Medium light is 1/2 ounce to 3 ounce.
Yeah, and
you can tell it's specialized in swim bait.
Yeah, I throw an A-rig on that rod too, and I've done really well with the A-rig on that rod. So you can use it as a multi-purpose. I know people that will like flip with it as well, use it as that. I know a lot of guys actually use it for striper, or if you're down in SoCal, people like doing the spotted bay bass and calicos with this rod as well.
So the one thing I've noticed from this is your hook design. All of your hooks have that bent in. I can't think of the name of it right now.
Yeah, an end point on them.
But like an end point, how, I don't know if you guys can see that.
That's
you
the
can see they actually
ST41.
They actually bend in and then like kind of almost like cup in like a claw grabbing.
Yeah, and I have that on my hard baits, especially because it's already hard to get bit on a hard bait, you know, compared to a soft bait. And I just kind of think that hooks locks those fish up a little bit better with that bent in and helps keep them pinned. But like what I was saying too with this guy is
you get is that so like if they slap it, it like holds them and grabs them in, or they have to like eat it, kind of like a KVD triple grip. You want them to actually eat it. If they're just slapping it, you want more of a round bend.
Exactly.
Is this like a hybrid that helps it kind of?
Exactly. They don't curve in as much as a triple grip, but they're still open round like that. To where as like say like these guys, the owner 36s, this is a 3-aught for example. I rig in a different bait I'll talk about later. Is more of a typical round bend, and I like that for when the fish come up and they're eating either the top or the bottom of the bait, and those hook points aren't curved in, they're just curved like that, so they have a higher chance of sticking the fish that way.
Yeah, the tips stay straight, they don't bend in.
Yeah. But I think the curved endpoints really do help. Like, but as like a bait like this size, you know, this little UFO has the triple grips on them, and I think that like for that aspect, as you can tell, that's the UFO mini in real gill.
And it is mini.
Yeah,
It's a cute little thing.
for $120, but yeah,
For 120 bucks. It's a cute little thing.
yeah, it's basically a fancy crankbait. That's basically it's what it does. But it's
It probably kills them too.
yes, I mean Delta fish love that thing. I've caught in 6 inches on it and done phenomenal. I think that bait just gets bit, but that one has triple grips because it's so small.
This is just like a typical
Crankbait, same thing.
double jointed, like
Yep.
it just has that like S.
Yep, it
kinda
literally
thing.
just a tight wobble. It almost feels like a chatterbait underwater. How much it vibrates. It's cool. I really love that bait. And that one's
This can go through like weeds and stuff. I noticed it's got like the coffin lip to
Yep,
it.
yep.
It'll go right through weeds.
yeah, I'll bump right off the logs. I have no problems fishing the delta with that thing, and especially our delta, we have grass all year long. Comes right through it. Clear Lake, a lot of our lakes.
So now, tournament wise,
hmm
so you got like you have a lot of big baits which can specialize in that. But like tournament wise, you got like that bait and you got some baits here, stuff like that. Like what?
I would say my tournament baits. My first bait I would pick is probably the OG 250. I'll use this as a search bait in the area, especially pre-fishing. And depending on the fish's attitude and stuff, I really like this bait because it will trigger those fish, and you'll see a lot bigger fish because of the drawing power of it. But most of the time, I use like a tiny clash. I'll use the UFO, the 6-inch, or the mini. And the thing about UFOs too, even though it's a 6-inch bait, it has a very thin profile. So those fish, when they're seeing it from the bottom or the side too, it just looks like a small bluegill, small easy meal for them when they come up. I've
And it
had
doesn't
no issues.
give it. Myself, and when I look at swim baits, I just don't want that much body to
Yeah.
be there, because when that fish is jumping and slinging, there's a lot of body to swing
For them to throw, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that being able to get that profile, but then have that thinness in there so that you can keep that weight down. I mean, it looks good to me. Like that's something
Yeah,
that I would be
I
going
mean-
for. And it does help that bluegill tend to already have that same profile anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he matched the hatch perfectly on those. And then I have another model right there, the slow sink, that I use as well. And I use that for on the scope, like you're casting it out. And that one's more of like a burn twitch, just a straightforward swimmer. Yeah, those are good big reps. Those hooks are sticky. Yeah, and as you can tell, that gill pattern is probably my favorite that he does. Looks very natural in my opinion.
It actually looks
Like a
lot
red ear.
like Comanche has bluegill that are similar to this color,
Yeah,
and some of those other ones.
yeah.
Dan Oliver says, "What's up, Casey? Keep spitting facts."
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I try. I've done it a long time.
We don't know anything about big baits. That's why we get him in on here.
Yeah.
Because out of everybody that I know, big bait wise, Casey's probably the most experienced out of everybody that we know. So,
So,
and you got a lot of pretty stuff
Yeah.
to play with.
is that the biggest gill you have?
No. So the biggest skill I have is the Mothership by UFO. This is his OG model. I have a new one as well. And then he just came out with the Executor, which is even bigger than that thing. It makes that thing look
Really?
small. And man, I've seen that thing fish in person. It's a glide too. I've seen wolf packs of 2-3s come up and kill it at the bank, like just destroy it. And it's like crazy. Like he'll leave it on the ground like how a big gill sits in the grass, and he'll glide it and burn it out, and it'll just trigger something in those fish. And it has that same squeaky joint as the smaller Space Invader of that, where I don't know if it's that noise that he has or something, but it's called the Siren Space Invader, and I think it really does call them up like a siren does.
And how much is Mothership?
$300. Yeah.
Chump change.
Yeah.
Chump
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Way better than.
But
$750.
believe it or not, I've
The
caught.
sad part, I don't want to say the sad part. The cool part is like he's got all this stuff on the table. It's probably the same cost as everything that I load in my boat. It's just in way less paints.
Yeah. Yeah. With the rods and everything like that.
Well,
That Hinkle setup with
But,
that
like,
reel and everything.
But if you're like dedicated to it, this is like your tools, right? Like,
yeah,
this is what you do.
yeah, because I was doing this before I got into tournament fishing, and then I got into tournament fishing with you guys, and then I did that, and then I started going to BBT for a year. Did that, which was fun, but I mean, swimbait fishing is where my passion is.
Yeah.
I've just watched so many videos and seen so many cool eats and so much bigger and just better fish, in my opinion, eat those baits, and this amount of stokedness just to get bit on that bait is a lot. The challenge in itself, and when you do even a 3-pounder, it's just so rewarding. It's like a refresh, or you get bit and it's like there's a chance, and then you're out there all day, and it's just like I don't know. I mean, we swim and fish together before, and we were out there all day, and we got bit, and then we were like, oh, here goes the next spot. Here comes the next spot.
Yeah. It's definitely a different mentality than a tournament fishing mentality.
Yeah,
but it is definitely like when you get them to eat, it's awesome.
Yeah,
like it makes it all worth it as long as you can get them to eat.
So,
I definitely struggle in the
yeah,
getting them to eat
get
part.
them to eat. So what other hard baits did you bring that are like?
What are these bad boys about?
So these are the Sensei gills. A good buddy of mine, Austin Brown, he makes these. Send me these for free. I appreciate you a lot, man. These things. That was the first original one I got on a drop. He sent me this and his crawler for free, which this crawler is absolutely badass. Sorry for my language, but it is very cool. I love that bait so much. The detail on it, it just looks like a bullfrog. Those fish absolutely annihilate it. But last year, fishing a Delta tournament with the Bass Reapers.
I see that one.
Yeah, just a big bass pattern.
This one's super pretty.
Yeah.
Also.
This one, though, played a big factor. I did really well on this guy in the Delta tournament, actually. This guy right here, I had striper come up and eat it. I had a striper bend out hooks on it on a wake bait, and this bait, even though it's a wake bait, I was able to crank it down with the current, of course, in our Delta, like 2-3 feet. And I was having fish shoot out of tules, shoot out of wood and rocks, and just come up and absolutely kill it in front of you. And good fish, 3, 4, 5 pounders. And
how deep will these?
So this is a wake
down?
bait. So
Okay, I was gonna say it's pretty flat
build.
nose.
Yep. But you can get them down.
Get them down like less than a foot. Probably.
Yeah, less than a foot. But if you have the right current in fluorocarbon as well, you can get it down, I would say 2 feet max, maybe. But that's cranking hard in current, with current going with you,
Nice. That's actually one of the Silly Sallies that I run.
Yeah, the Silly Sallies.
Those will also dig down like 2 foot.
Yeah,
Around
those
there.
are sweet bait too. I had a couple of those.
I had those.
Yeah, yeah, you got to bring those too. Those are sick bait for the Delta in summertime. Those get bit. But another bait that I actually want to show is this. It's a glide bait, but it's a soft bait. It's called the G Flag by Grow Designs. I absolutely,
and you can see it's all soft, no hard.
Yeah, it's got a tungsten ball weight in it for a ballast chamber to help it stay level. That bait burns like money. I caught some really solid fish in my TOC for BBT up there on that bait. Yeah, I just absolutely smashed him day one on that, and then unfortunately couldn't do it day two, but that day one was fun with that bait. I mean, back to back within 10 minutes, had almost 10 pounds for 2 fish in the boat, and it was just like, wow, and then that bait's really cool. It's really unique. You can get it to glide, you can get it to burn straight swim. I love that bait. And there's different ways you can rig it. You can put a grenade weight on it. You can do a lot of things to it as well.
Yeah, grenade weight would be your like a weight that hooks up to your eye to weight it down. So you're not putting anything that's stuck onto it. It's just like for lack of better words, a drop shot weight that you would put on there.
Yep.
It's not a drop shot weight. It's actually shaped like a little grenade.
We got a couple comments.
Okay.
Matlock said, James, I expect a swim bait unboxing video soon.
Yeah, I ain't that, bro. I'm not that rich.
Rachel said, Brian, don't even think about it.
That's his wife.
Yeah.
Corey, what's going on, Corey? Paint jobs are nice, but I want to see some teeth marks.
Oh, we got some.
There's teeth marks on some.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
We got some teeth marks.
And Get says it's just money.
Yeah, it's just money. That's all right.
Guess you might be rich enough. We're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, if you want to get that guy out.
If you want to see teeth marks in a
soft bait,
just because that one's
if you can get that guy out, look at
you
the
can see
head on
how mangled that thing is, and that's not because he got hungry on the drive over here. Like fins are missing and stuff like that. Like, switching to soft bait. Let's talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, this is the Hog Hunter Mag, ROF6. Absolutely love this bait.
ROF stands for rate of fall.
Rate of fall 6, yep. So typically, if you're familiar with the HUDs, they have a rate of fall 5, 10, and 12. Yeah, you can just cut it. I always cut those. They do a great job of protecting. Oh, wow, would you look at that? If you show him the head of that bait, you can see that.
I don't know if he's going to be able to see it.
Can you see him in there? Right here, look.
I don't know if you're going to be able to see it in the camera, though.
Right there. Can you see all those teeth marks in the head of it?
Yeah, but I don't know if
the
I can
camera
get the
can pick it
camera
up,
to
but
pick that up.
yeah, I caught a 7-1 on that,
I don't think I can.
and I boat flipped it on that medium light because we didn't have the net out.
You can see some.
It shows up.
Yeah. But soft baits, yeah, this Hog Hunter Mag, really love this bait. Caught a lot of fish on this, learned a lot. I actually use this stuff a lot on my softies. This is Bang Garlic, or I use the Swimbait Underground bait slick. Both very good options. As you can tell, I don't have a jig hook on this. Bent it out on big fish, unfortunately. But I do have a wire crimp on it now that I set up to this back insert that they have on their harness to where you can rig it up, which is nice that it already comes pre like that. So they know, because a lot of people will set them up for that, because a lot of our largemouth fisheries have spots in them, and spots like the short strike, the trout and stuff. So
take their tails out.
Yeah, like the one of the better professionals out here, Alex Niapis, big hog hunter guy, he caught, I think in a Wild West, a 9 and a 12, 9-pound spot and a 12-pound largemouth.
Right?
Yeah, Shasta.
Yeah.
And on this bait too. So
yeah.
Catch a 9 on Shasta, you're winning the tournament anyhow.
Yeah, and he backed it up. Like he walked away from that tournament.
Yeah,
like
he won that day with just that weight for the whole thing.
And can you get that bait again still?
Yes, yeah. So Hog Hunter and Tackle Warehouse. Tackle Warehouse has their exclusive colors with this guy. And then a Hog Hunter usually always has them in stock, whether it's their light trout, brilliant trout, any kind of color. They do phenomenal. And then they also have a thing where you can customize the rate of fall, colors you want, anything like that. And yeah, put in your order and go like that.
And how much?
These guys aren't relatively expensive. They're $100, but yeah, it's not crazy bad. I mean, they're pretty durable. I mean, the thing that Magnum used to have was the harness would break, which they did fix in these guys. So I haven't never had an issue with the harness. If you look at like a lot of photos,
harness would be the rigging inside.
Yeah, and you can see the harness actually in here because of how many teeth marks on it. There's no more paint left. But yeah, I mean, absolutely love this bait.
And you're gonna crawl that on the bottom?
Yeah, so typically I like bottom bouncing these baits, especially crawling, creeping up above rocks. But some of those trout stock places.
So explain why the bottom is rubbed off.
Yeah, exactly, why the paint's gone there too. But like I said, in some of our grassy lakes and the trout stock lakes, or where native trout are, some of those fish will suspend, whether it's in trees, brush, rocks, and certain ambush points, and get ready to attack those trout. So I'll actually swim this thing anywhere from 3 to 10 feet of water too, and I'll have fish that I know are suspended or around that area, and they'll shoot up and come get it as well. So just trying to match where those trout or fish are set up in the system.
And then I saw on this one that you
modified it.
It's modified.
Yeah.
What are we doing here with this? And what is this?
So this is the Nate's bait. This is the 9.5 line through trout. Shout out to my buddy Jared at Fall 74, who also makes the bait wraps that you see here. It is a double tail saltwater scampi. So basically it's I want to say 6-inch saltwater scampi. You can get them at online, Amazon or whatever.
You could probably get them at the little like grab dollar bins.
Exactly.
Fisherman's
Fisherman's Warehouse, they do have them. It's a double tail. I cut off the double tail because typically, so there's no head in here. So he makes, I I put this in to make it for the line through that I rig up with a 3/0, and I have one rigged up to show you right here.
So basically, you're adding body to it.
Yeah, and it
by
fattens
putting
the bait up to where it looks more natural as well. I want to show that guy right there.
That means I gotta stand up.
Yeah. So you can see how I have that rigged, and then if you show them, flip it towards the heads pointing towards us, like the other way. Like flip the bait, yeah,
This way?
this way. So as you can see, the head hides the hooks. That's a 3/0 treble. You cannot see the hook sticking over.
Versus if you didn't, you can see like how much narrower that body is.
Yeah.
Without that.
And that's a 3/0, but I put that saltwater scampi in where it sits up like a line through, so then it sits. And this bait has a really nice head wobble, tail kick to it. Looks very natural. But the main thing that I liked with this rigging is that when you look at a bait from the head like this, you can't see those trebles sticking out, which is very nice. And I throw this guy on 20-pound Invis-X. This is the 8.6 standard issue lowdown, extra heavy 3 to 8 ounce. And this is about a 5-ounce bait. And then I put 2 nail weights in the dorsal fins back there. Want to say 3/32 ounce. And it sits very high in the water column. Looks just like a stalker or native trout.
And this is a 400 Alexa?
300 Lexa Win. I upgraded Gomex's handles on it. Yeah.
Right.
And this is the standard issue 8.6 LDC as well.
We got, are you talking about Alex? And is that at Nate's bait?
Yeah, that's Nate's bait.
Yes, Nate's baits. Yep, Nate's 9.5 trout. And that is the, I believe, the green muted stalker, and then that's his native stalker or stalker color as well. Yeah, really good bait, done really well on him. A lot of big fish. If you check out Fall 74, he has a video rigging them as well. Good buddy of mine. He
Fall
absolutely
74 would be Instagram, Facebook.
Yep, Instagram, Facebook as well. Jared, really polite guy. Man, absolutely smashed fish on those. He has probably, I think, over 20 double digits on that bait.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
And he's local.
He's local. Yep.
No. Robert says Alex won Shasta.
Yeah, Alex won Shasta. Yep, he had the 986 spot or something, like a 12 largemouth. It was
crazy.
absolutely insane with the mag, and it shows the cast to catch with him too. So it's absolutely insane, that pattern he's on, and that a lot of people there actually throw the mag and the Mag X, which is the bigger one, and I do have one of those with me too. But
What's that one look like?
that's the big girl. She's a 12-inch, 10-ounce trout bait. And some guys completely rig this bait with feathers on the side, do a lot of crazy stuff to it. That guy, as you can tell, looks very natural. This is my first season fishing this bait. I just have it rigged up with a standard stinger.
That thing is huge.
This thing legit looks like just a regular
look at
fish.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people fish that bait. A lot of people have really good success on it. And you can see there's 2 metal inserts on the actual side by the chin.
Yeah, there's one right
up there
here,
where the gills
and
would
then
be.
One on the other side, same thing.
Yep, where
So
you
you
can
gotta-
set up trap
so you
rigs.
got here, and then you got your hook in the back.
And there's one on the bottom too. And then there's a way,
yeah, there's
if you want to show them, there's an insert in there that you can choose. And I fish it without adding the weight to it, but you can add, it comes with a whole weighting kit as well. You can weight it down to your preferred rate of fall, but I believe it comes a rate of fall 2 or rate of fall 3. And
so rate of fall
perfect
would
to me.
be 2 foot every second.
Yep.
So
How much?
our rate of fall 2 would be 2 foot every
How
second.
much is that guy?
Yeah, how much?
$180.
Reasonable compared to
Other ones, yeah,
Other
I'm
ones,
definitely.
still in the little leagues with the with the
Man,
Defiant.
yeah, the Defiants though. I've never fished them, but I know Oliver Nye, huge success on those, and he actually caught his 17 on a mag. But he came out with that Defiant, and I mean, smokes them. Clear Lake, any of our other lakes around us.
I've thrown the Defiant, and it is ridiculous. Like the way the head is and all this other stuff, it is ridiculous what you could throw this through, and it doesn't get hung up. Like you get hung up where you're popping it, and then you like bring the boat towards it and like hit it a couple times, and it just comes right out.
Yeah.
It's crazy how this comes out.
like
And then it's just got that slow tail wag while you're winding it.
Mhm.
Yeah. That bait, like you
It's
think
a line
about
through.
throwing something that's $100, right? Like, and then throw it into rocks.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that, right? Like,
Exactly.
especially big rocks, like say Clear Lake, right? Throwing it in big
Yeah.
rocks,
Lava rocks.
lava rocks. That bait, you want to hit every rock
Yeah.
with it, and you'll be fine.
Mhm.
It,
Yeah, it's $80.
and
or
it blew my
somewhere around
mind.
there.
Yeah, and
that
it's
you could do that.
It's still very expensive, but quality's there. A line through system, which is nice. So then it's really you don't have the jig hook to fell on you or anything. It's your own knot that will fell on you. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that bait can slide up like when that fish goes wallowing or whatever, that bait can slide up the line and get that weight away from that hook.
yeah, exactly. It's a really nice bait. I mean, the last time we went out, that you got bit on it
Yeah.
once or twice at least, and
Yeah.
I didn't even
Spots
get
will
bit.
definitely pick off the tail on that thing too. Just
Yeah.
spots are so curious, and they're not afraid to eat it. Also,
Yeah, I was fishing not too long ago, and I was down the mag, and I had school of 4 or 5 pound spots come up and just absolutely just looking like they were gonna eat it and just swimming right next to it. A whole school of them, 5, 6 fish, and I was like, okay, here we go. Didn't eat.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's what will happen a lot too with throwing these big baits. So definitely say don't get discouraged. You're just the main thing is learning and reading fish's behavior.
Yeah.
Because with these big baits, you'll see a lot of big fish. I guarantee you, you spend a year throwing these things, you will see a double-digit bass. It's just a matter of learning the behavior, learning the time frames, when those fish, the bite windows open up, what baits work better. What I did is, like I said, with the S Waver, I spent a lot of time breaking down one bait and learning a bait before I started buying and buying and buying. Like, to be honest, my collection used to be a lot more, but I sold baits that I didn't use or that I didn't necessarily like that I bought because I thought maybe I would. Tried them.
and they just aren't your style.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I kind of stick with my bread and butter, like the UFOs, the bent, the 250, the Hinkle, the loonies. I mean, these Boulder Creek craws. I mean, absolutely phenomenal baits right here. This is the Twitch craw, and then he has his slow sink craw.
This one looks cool, by the way.
Yeah, and this is the other one. This is his 3-piece. Basically, you know, they sink like an actual craw does, and then they just nice tight wobble, fish it like a crankbait, anything like that. And I've had really good success on those as well, especially in the Delta, where they eat craws very well. You think of fishing like a red crankbait or chatterbait with a trailer, you know, almost the same size if you think about it. Put a spicy beaver or a D-bomb on the back of a chatterbait, you know, it's 5-inch chatterbait right there.
It's a pretty big body at that point.
You got a question.
Mhm.
How are y'all rigging that Nate's?
Nate, so it is a line through. So on the nose right here, there's a line through system, and then 5-inch double tail scampi. Cut the double tail off on the first knot, as you would see up the body.
Hand me that rod, where the one you have rigged.
Yeah. There you go. And then if you want, you can see where there's nail weights put into it as well. That is the 3-aught.
Where the nail weights at right here?
Yeah, they're gonna be right there, going into those two. Yep. And then
You can only see like the holes for where the nail weights went through, but they're basically right here. And then this is just clipped into that scampi, into that thing.
yeah,
Where
and then,
one hook is in and the other two are exposed. That way, if they eat, they get nothing but hook coming off that body. And then you're using that fin to kind of
hide that hook
to
exactly.
hide the
And then if you face it like the front towards them too, you can't see that treble hook over the bait, especially that double tail scampi. Helps fatten the bait like a stalker trout would look, and it resembles them really well. And I throw in the 3-aught ST36 by Owner. That is the hook. Jared at Fall 74 showed me how to rig this bait, and I've had great success on it because of him.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you'd be throwing all this stuff right now. This is the time frame when you should be throwing it.
Yeah, the only stuff I really honestly wouldn't throw as much is like the wake baits now, because the water temps have dropped. In wake baits, typically I do better when the water temps are higher. The fish in the metabolisms are burning a lot faster.
they're willing to come up at it.
They're willing to come up, move a lot. But don't get me wrong, the Delta, right? They eat wake baits all year round because it's current, it's river. Those fish are mean. They're always fighting current. Their metabolisms are higher compared to our lakes or other stuff where sure we have rivers or stuff coming into them. There's a low current. Those fish in the Delta are just used to it, so they're always burning.
If they're gonna pick off striper. The striper are not afraid to be at any part of the water column at any time.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
They said, dope, thanks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. If you want to check out a perfect rigging of it too, check out Fall 74 on YouTube. Great rigging of it. But yeah, hopefully that helps you.
So like on learning on all this stuff, basically you're just going out there doing it yourself, and then you've like made friends and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I know you've mentioned some bait makers and stuff like that before. Like,
Yep.
you're
Yeah.
just getting out there with
a lot of trial and error, especially with the S waiver. I started with that, like I was saying. Learned that bait was really hard. Believe it or not, Ben Milliken, before he became all the clout and all that,
I've actually learned some swim bait stuff from watching his videos also.
Him when he shaved down his old S waivers that he used to have and stuff in like his draw or whatever. I kind of took way back when he was fishing those as like protos and stuff.
Milliken's video where he talks about shaving down the
Joints.
the joints in the
Flow
flow glider.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, and I actually ended up having one that I thought was that flow glider. I was like, this thing's junk. It doesn't really do anything. And I had bought it a long time ago when I first started getting into like glides. And I was like, wait a minute, I have one of those. And I shaved that joint down, and it's actually the bait that I pick up first now.
Yeah.
It's 6-inch. It's not that big.
So that's your
the
confidence bait.
Yeah, like I pick it up first now. I don't even I was picking up the S waiver or the Shine Glide, and now I pick up that
one.
shaved joint flow glider.
That Shine Glide was also another one I cut my teeth on. That bait, I've done really good with that bait. I mean that, and then the Savage Gear Bluegill, actually, the old 3D Savage Gear Bluegill top hook had a stinger on the bottom.
Soft bait.
Yeah, soft bait. But kind of was like the original concept of this but it had one more joint, so it was a swimmer but could sort of glide as well. That caught my original personal best back then, and that was a 798. And I caught that. That fish was post spawn, skinny still. That fish was 26 inches. So she
should have been a 10.
Yeah, she had the frame on her, everything. Big head, mean bug eyes, and just was skinny.
Robert's asking, where do you get the inside bait?
The Scampi, so you can go Fisherman's Warehouse. There's a store location.
It's supposed to be tails hanging out.
Yeah, so it's a double tail Scampi, a 5-inch double tail Scampi. Saltwater Scampi. The saltwater plastics are a lot more durable as well. So those hooks, when you put it in there, as you can see, I mean, this one is pretty messed up, and it still holds the hook in there fine.
Yeah. I use these for, I use like bait color ones and put them on like jigs when I'm halibut fishing. When I'm popping
rock fishing,
like stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where you're going to find those at.
Exactly,
right?
in the saltwater sections, or the James was saying, in the yellow bins or white bins, whatever they would be in the fishing stores, whether it's Turner's or something like that, where they're going to have it around the bay. Almost every place where there's saltwater or there's rockfish are going to have these in their store.
Yeah, if you live in Sacramento area, when you go into Fisherman's Warehouse and you turn right and go all the way to that corner, there's these in little like tray bins or whatever.
Yep.
And then the same thing, Fisherman's Warehouse in Fairfield has them in one of their sections.
Yeah, you're going to go in the left wall.
Left wall,
left wall, almost all the way to the back.
Yeah. And they're cheap.
But they're
you can get them. I want to say when I worked there, they were like $2 a piece or whatever, and then
you're basically paying for the plastic. You're not really paying for anything extra on that.
Yeah, you're not. I mean, you could probably find them on Amazon for cheaper and get it bulk. Like I bought mine through there when I worked there. I bought bulk bags of them. I prefer the black color. This is the root beer color. It's all they had one time, and I just got them because I needed some. I ran out, but I buy them in bulk.
For the most part, you're not seeing it inside the bait anyways.
Correct.
So it doesn't really matter what color it is, because like it's inside that body.
Mm-hmm. And that hook hides it. Yeah.
You're not seeing it, and they would have to see it from the bottom. Like you see a little bit of that color. It's not quite stuffed in there right.
And most of the times, when they're chasing those kind of baits, they're going to either cut it off and headshot it, or they're just going to suck it down from the back, and they're not really caring. Like some you might have on certain deeper bodies of water where you have suspended fish, like we were talking about earlier, might shoot up. But if they're going to do that, they know they're going to eat it when they come up like that usually.
Yeah.
Paul wants to know, Casey, are you fishing the Reapers Open this weekend?
I am not at work, but I'm coming to hang out and enjoy time with the guys.
Perfect, for sure. I think that's a good segue. For those who don't know, Reapers tournament this Saturday.
Open tournament, right?
Open
yep.
tournament.
Yeah. Anybody?
It's $150, or actually, there's 10.
now.
It's 160 because it's cash of day. So there's a $10 day of fee. $160. 120 of that goes towards big stringer, and 30 of that goes towards big fish. It's 85% payback at 120, and the big fish is 100% payback. So definitely some good payback on that.
Yeah.
And there's a raffle afterwards with a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I believe when I worked at Fisherman's, you guys got some stuff from there too for that. And
Yeah,
there was some good. I gave some good deals. There was some good stuff going into that raffle.
Yeah, Gone Fishing has donated some good stuff, and Todd's Rods out of Benicia has donated like $1,000 worth of tackle to throw
Awesome.
into that thing. So
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot that's there.
Great event. Yeah, just come out, drink. Even if you're not going to fish, just hang out. And Berryessa's fishing phenomenal right now. I mean, the BAM Pro championship was up there. It took 60 pounds for 3 days to win.
Yep.
20 pounds a day.
Second place had 60 pounds or
as
just
well.
under
Yeah,
60.
yeah.
it was-
It's fishing really good, big fish biting. Almost every bag I believe everyone had a 5+ pound kicker. So
it was.
yeah.
there's some big fish, and swim baits were key right now too up there. So
Make sure you have your boat dry.
Yes.
Yep.
They are
So-
checking.
If you have launched in the last 30 days from Delta, they're going to ask you a whole bunch of extra questions if you answer yes to have you been in Delta in the last 30 days.
so answer no.
We cannot tell you to answer no, but you have a lot less questions to ask or that get asked if you don't say yes to that. If you do say yes to the Delta, they want it to be 100% cleaned, and they want it certified clean, which we aren't even sure what the certified part is.
Yeah.
All because of the golden mussel that they found.
Just treat it like going to Comanche. Make sure your boat's
Yep.
dry.
Make sure your boat is
Oh,
100%
yeah.
dry. Your live wells are 100% dry. If you need to stop right down the road to pat it down with a towel one last time, just to make sure it's dry,
It's a great idea.
that's
this supposed to
not a
rain this
horrible
weekend?
idea. It's 40% chance on Saturday.
So Berryessa, if it says any chance of rain, it's gonna rain.
Yeah.
I learned that from my BBT in the middle of summer. It's
Oh.
gonna rain.
So Robert's asking 9 or 12-inch bait. I think that's a 9-inch that you're doing that.
Correct.
with, right?
9.5 inch. Nate's does make a 12-inch. I personally don't fish that one. I just don't like how it sits like in the water column. The swim on it's fantastic.
It's not your style.
Yeah, I like the Mag X over that for a 12-inch style bait for soft baits at least.
Okay.
But if I had to go with a second choice, it would be that compared to other baits on the market. But most of my bigger style baits, besides the Nates, the Mag, and the Mag X, all of them are going to be hard baits in that 9+ inch range.
Okay.
I grind my teeth with hard baits. I'm stubborn like that. I've gotten a lot better at soft bait fishing over the years. But hard baits are where it's at. I'll fish a hard bait, middle of January when you think, you would just want to slow crawl just like a jig fisherman or a Ned rig, something like that.
Yeah, the typical HUD style.
HUD style, exactly. Slow rolling the HUD. I kind of am stubborn that way, but I've had good success on it. So but I've also had a lot of days where I've had, like this year, I've probably skunked at least 50+ days on swim baits, easy. But that happens, throwing them.
Yeah, that's how you
swim
get
bait.
the successful
Yeah.
days, though.
Yeah,
Like those strikeout days are the days that you learn the most about,
exactly.
especially if you get followers or short strikes or any of that stuff.
Yeah. And those days are just not catching fish. That's not like not seeing fish, reading stuff, like
Yeah, you're still learning and seeing fish.
like getting bites, missed opportunities. I still consider that a skunk, even though like in some people's swim bait books, that's a win because you're seeing fish, you're getting bit,
You're pulling them.
You're pulling them, exactly. You're getting them to react. And that's the whole thing with it, but it, like I said, it's a big bait. Sometimes they hit the right spot and you're able to hook them. Sometimes you're not. So
Yeah, people don't always want a 32-ounce porterhouse.
yeah.
Well, I do.
Well, maybe I do. But
I do.
I'll at least look at it. Even if I just ate, I'll at least look at it.
I'm gonna eat anyhow. We got a couple questions. How would you compare the Nates to the Tyrant? I have a Nates, but I hear a lot of hype about the Tyrant.
I like the Nates for its stability. The Tyrant, if you're going to fish it as a floater, So the Nates, the way you rig it now, it's very stable, and you can keep it high in the water column where you can, like the Tyrant. I fished a Tyrant. I like the bait. It's a great bait. Don't get me wrong. It gets bit. I think it fishes better as a beast hook, in my opinion, just because I struggled with the rigging on to get it to where it was a floater or a low float.
You're talking about like how Gilbert rigs it?
Exactly.
Basically?
Yeah, exactly how Gilbert rigs it. And I got it to rig like that, and I love the bait. I just have so many Nates, and for the price to get a Tyrant and how fast you have to be on a drop to get one, I think you could do just the same amount of damage on a Nates. But, there's subtleties and differences between each bait to where, some days the Tyrant will get a bit better. But I've also seen problems with Gilbert's new head case harness popping out, and that's, $100+ soft bait gone because the head case harness popped out. And you're like, good luck getting that back in. That doesn't have a head case harness, But sure, that it's not as durable like as the actual plastic. But, I mean, that catch 10 fish on a Nates and you'll be fine. As a Tyrant, it takes one fish to throw out that head case harness. 100+, and they're reselling at like $220, $230 for a soft bait. You don't want to pay that much for a soft bait.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you wouldn't turn down a Tyrant, but
No.
you'd pick up a Nates first.
I would pick up a Nates first and learn that bait over it, just because the way the Tyrant is, like all the extra
and a
additions
bit of
to
availability to it.
Yeah, exactly, and the availability to it. I know Nate has some on his website right now. He has the blue trout, the wild trout, and juvenile, and great colors right there. They get bit. I recommend them. The Nates, just I've seen more success on compared to the Tyrant. I've had buddies that fish Tyrants a lot and just can't get bit on them. Like,
yeah,
and that again, like I've mentioned multiple times, that comes down to style on all of it. Because I guarantee you, there's somebody's out there who says that the Tyrant is better because that's just the
look at Bass Jack, if you know who that is.
I mean, yeah, if you go through, I mean, just any part of fishing, like one person will swear that an A-rig is the best bait in the world, and the other person will swear that an A-rig they've never caught a fish on it.
Or Coach Miguel, what's going on, Coach?
What's going on, Coach?
He says, I throw a drop shot for the morning bite.
Man, hey,
on Berryessa, it's not a bad idea.
I've seen you personally do some damage on a drop shot, so I cannot deny that.
You got another guy asking, where did you say you get your gills painted?
So I go to Corey Schill. These are UFO. This is his Realist Imaging does these guys. Realist Imaging on Instagram, like real, like not REAL, like
REEL.
Exactly.
And then like real.
Yes, exactly. He does those. I haven't had any issues with the paint or these coming off. For instance, like this bent, you can definitely see, or the Space Invader, very minor hook rash on it. And the paint still holds up. I've had, I think, 26 fish on this bait now. Still looks pretty much brand new, besides a little bit of hook rash. And that comes down with any bait. Look at a crankbait, any kind of bait, there's going to be hook rash. Those hooks are hitting the bait.
And you got to think, like, that's 25 fish, but that could have been 300 casts.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like, to not have that much, like, shoot an S-waver, you're going to have more hook rash on an S-waver at that much time on the water.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
But Corey Schill, he's local here to Vacaville, CJS 1500 or CSJ 1500, something like that, I believe. We'll put it in after, or you can hit me up. My name's just Casey Holder on Instagram. I can get you his info.
Yeah, I'll try and link what I can down below. I'm not very good with links.
Yeah, great guy though. Does a really good
channel,
job.
but I'm not good with electronics.
Yeah. But the wait time on it isn't bad. Like 4 weeks max. And does a great job. You
just send him the blank and then he paints it up.
Yeah, and then if you know Cast and Crank podcast, Corey did a segment on there as well. He did a podcast. Great listen. He talks about it. Did a lot of stuff with like triple trout baits and a bunch of stuff like that. So really good job.
I think I've actually heard that one.
Yeah, triple trouts. Yeah, that's like one of the OGs. Like
no, not triple trout, but the Cast and Casting
Yeah, I
Crank
listen to that all the
podcast.
time.
I think I actually
There's some
have heard that one.
There's some good knowledge in there.
Yeah,
You guys,
there is. If you guys are into swim baits and you don't, which you probably already do know, but Casting Crank, he has a lot of good swim bait guys on there talking, and he's got a couple of Butch Brown episodes where he probably said more than he wanted to say in some of those videos, like in the back half of the stuff. Like you have to listen all the way through it, and you get like in the back half, and you hear him like start to say something, and then go like, oh, and like stop.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, keep going.
Same with Bass Jack and Mike Gilbert, bunch of guys on there that's really good in
stuff that they think is like low level knowledge is like us being like, oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah, exactly.
You always get gems. If you watch enough stuff, you'll get a gem here and there.
Oh yeah, that's Butch Brown, where I got that from right there. Bang garlic, and I guess it was no secret, but I did I'm not gonna lie, I have one that I take before coming on this that I have electrical tape wrapped around so people can't see exactly which one it is that I spray on a bait sometimes. Because I've had people, come up to me and follow me and ask what I'm using, and I'm like, sure, I'll tell them if I have it out. But then they're like, oh, what you got in there? Sometimes I don't like showing, not necessarily, especially if I see if they're swim bait fishing too.
Right.
Yeah.
We got a question, and I'm thinking this is big baits. Any tips for Lake McClure?
McClure, that's a tricky one. So McClure has a lot of spots, but has a lot of big largemouth as well. That lake is definitely soft bait oriented this time of year. I would say so.
The one I fished earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I've actually been there.
That guy, he knows.
I was catching them on drop shot that day though. I didn't throw any big baits.
Yeah, McClure.
It was all sorry Steve drop shot.
McClure, if you want to learn that lake, I would definitely reach out to some of those guys that fish those lakes down that way. That lake is definitely your typical,
deep clear water.
Deep clear water, exactly. You're fishing deep rocks, deep banks.
I can say that I don't know on the swim bait side at all.
Yeah.
But on the fishing side, they related a lot to the abnormalities along a bank.
Yep.
Like you're going down the bank and all of a sudden there's a rock outcropping 20 feet down, whatever it is. Like they would relate to that when I was fishing there. I don't have a clue swim bait wise, but I'm just saying like that's the style of lake that is.
Yeah.
You're looking for the abnormalities.
I would fish it the same way you fish any clear water reservoir. Especially with the spots in there, it's hard to beat a soft bait, especially with spots. Glide baits do very well, especially those spots when the metabolisms go in the spring or fall. You can get schools fired up real quick where it's cast. And that lake, I'm almost positive has trout in it too, or kokanee. So they do eat the big bait there.
Yeah,
like a mag does really well.
Out there.
Yeah, a mag. I know a mag, and I know a guy that fishes and Nate's there and does really well. So
now you're saying spots. A soft bait because it can fold into their mouth better.
Yeah, exactly. And usually soft baits, you do have a trap rig hooked on them, whether it's the mag or something like that, and the spots do have a smaller mouth. Don't get me wrong, 4-pound spot can definitely eat this. That's why they eat the kokanee and all that. But that trap rig definitely does help where in case you do get some that short strike or just try to cheap shot it, you have a higher hookup ratio, especially this time of year. But then glides as soon as the water temp starts coming back up more towards like March, February.
Coach, I'll give this to you, little buddy. What would the conditions need to be for the tournament to be canceled this weekend?
There's not going to be enough wind to cancel it.
Yeah. No.
It's like 10 to 15. It would have to be like
20
plus, 25, like gusts to 50 or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be scary.
For the most part, most of the wind from that lake usually comes from the north, and we're launching out of the north.
Yeah.
So most of the time, like it doesn't really pick up around that area. But I think it's only like 10 to 15 at most or something like that.
Yeah,
it's not enough. You can actually run all of the lake at 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Because usually when they say 10 to 15, that's usually an afternoon wind. Like it's not an all day thing. It's just that back half of that day.
And the moisture is definitely down on that day currently.
Yeah. There's not as much rain forecasted.
Yes.
But we don't care about rain.
Yeah,
because
we're doing it rain or shine.
We'll just
funny enough, the fish are already wet.
Yeah, and let's just say rain this time of year, Barry, and you're launching out of the north, it's setting up pretty good weekend for a big bag. I'm just gonna say, especially with the moon phase right now and how the moon's set.
Yeah.
It's setting up for a really good big bag, especially swim baits. Kind of why perfect timing. This life's going on too. And if you watch the BAM, you'll see where were the winners up north. So that wind should play no disadvantage to you. It should help you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. The again, make sure your boat is completely dry before you show up.
Yeah.
As dry as possible inside the live wells, inside everything.
Mm-hmm.
They will be checking.
Another question.
Yeah.
Any tips on the Hog Hunter mag?
Yeah. So the Mag X I just had braided rig because I didn't have wire and crimp at the time. I like wire and crimp, or just twisting the wire. Like I said, the jig hook, I did not cut this off. Got bent out on a fish, then I cut it off. But I just run a single trap rig hook. I know some guys that fish them where they're not bottom bouncing, where they're just strolling it and higher in the water column, like where those bass are more keyed on the native trout and kokanee that are higher up. We'll run a stinger. That's why that bottom thing is down there as well, where you can run a stinger to it. And there was one right there too as well, but that one got bent out. I think it's a good bait.
Wounds.
Yeah, battle wounds, exactly. There's that bait, I wish I caught more on it from what it looks like, but 15 plus fish, but it's not a lot of big ones, a lot of 3 to 4 pounders that come up and just absolutely smoke it. But then there's those fish that just hit it and hit it and hit it and hit it, and after time and dragging and doing different styles at different bodies of water does unfortunately get messed up pretty bad. But great bait, man. I can't say enough. I definitely think they're more natural looking than a HUD, and the actual size profile of them is a lot better than a HUD. And the harness too. The harness won't break like a HUD harness or rip out. The plastic and the paint a lot better as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So out of everything sitting here, top 2 baits. What's if you were going to go fishing at Berryessa this weekend in the tournament, top 2 baits, what are you picking up?
For how they were set up, probably a softy like the Nates or a mag. Definitely.
So like this.
Yeah, like the Nates or a mag, for instance. Definitely because that water temp has dropped, so those kokanee and trout are going up. We've gotten a little rain as well, so those creeks are flowing again a little bit. That, and then I would say either my OG Depths 250 or the Hinkle. I'm definitely going bigger going home, especially with that low barometric pressure coming in with that storm. You're gonna have rain, wind. It's setting up really nice with those fish are still shallow. You still got grass at the lake, which is excellent for this time of year, how late it is, and it's healthy grass, and a lot of it still. So because it stayed a lot warmer this year, those fish are just it's setting up, man. It's going to be a really good weekend. I think me personally, I think it'll take 25 plus to win.
Ooh.
I think someone's going to sack them.
I think it'll
with
very
that
possible.
I guarantee you. I shouldn't say guarantee you, but I would think you better have over 20 to win.
Yeah.
But
sure.
we've paid down pretty far, so we're kind of thinking that like 15-ish range is probably going to be about
15
low check.
Plus is low check.
Yeah.
Probably low check.
Then
Somewhere around there.
Then that's a solid bag for a lot of people that haven't fished Berry. That's a solid bag because that place can be like you can have I know people that have had 50-pound bags, and I know people like me have skunked there. So that place is very hit or miss, and it's.
But you could get your Grand Slam there.
You can Smalley. Well, you can get more. Yeah, wait, Smalley,
Smalley, spot, and large,
and mean mouth.
Yeah, and you can get mean mouth too.
So Grand Slam, all 4.
Yeah. Coach asked, what if it's raining all morning? Water is going to be everywhere in my boat. Will they keep me from launching?
We don't know.
We don't know. One of the things that I do, like when I go to Comanche, because Comanche checks.
We go out of North Shore.
Yeah, they check. They check hard. I'll pull over before I get there and make sure I have a towel in my truck.
There's a little gas station right up the street with a nice big pullout at Comanche that we pull into that pullout.
And double check everything before we pull
right
up.
before you get into
down.
that neighborhood right there,
up.
yeah.
If we're going to Puda Creek, if there is there's a bridge as you go over there, and there's a big parking lot next to that bridge, in case you want to check the straps on your boat or
Yeah.
or
That's a good
whatever.
idea.
Or there's the one right past you get past Turtle Rock where that day use is too. There's a big
Yeah.
pull out right there as well.
Yeah. But that would be
Way
something
down.
that would be not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. Just
We
to double check.
there will be boat inspectors there, and we do not know what variables they're going to be. Last year it was fine, but last year we didn't have the whole golden mussel thing.
Yeah, that's a new
Like I said, if you say yes
mussel.
to have you been in Delta for the last 30 days, you're going to get a whole lot more questions,
and might not be able to launch.
and you have to answer answer those questions correctly before they'll let you launch.
It's basically like if you fished any smaller reservoir around us, like they're saying, either Comanche or any of those, they are very finicky. Like I've been denied a couple times at certain bodies of water where, a drop where you think it's due from the motor that drips out, and they're just like, nope, there's a drip of water.
Yeah, well, we just went to Comanche a couple weeks ago, which was like right after the golden mussel thing broke out or showed up. The lady was actually like putting her finger on the rim of my prop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I had spider webs. She was like, "Oh, I could tell this that hasn't been in the water."
yeah, when you have spider webs on your prop,
Yeah,
it definitely.
That
hasn't
means
been used.
definitely that 30 day you're supposed to not let them go. You got to run it, but you're Evinrude, right?
no,
No, what are you?
No, he's
Yamaha, right?
Yami.
Yeah, I know. Merc, you can't let them sit for 30 days or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
advised.
you can let him sit.
Yeah, but any other questions?
He's been at Area 51.
for the past year.
Yeah,
It's a good
I don't-
spot.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
blame him. Area 51's definitely not a bad place.
Yeah, I definitely. I've done.
I have not played there yet.
I have a just say a couple cast to catches on my Instagram there on the Depths 250. Some nice fish over there. Yeah, they're definitely mean there. There's some big ones. I've seen a couple of your videos. You lost some big ones on the drop shot. So there's some big fish. That's a fun lake too to learn swim baiting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not very many people know about it. That's why it's Area 51. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it'll
Yep.
still stay Area.
It'll still
Very
stay Area
51.
51.
Those who know, and those who don't know, well, one day you'll figure
We'll just
it
say
out.
it's influenced enough of Area 51 where even some of the big YouTubers still don't say the name or show the ramp for us, which is
Correct.
nice enough.
which is
Good
part
times.
of why I haven't gone over there and
I
played.
like how this is soft.
Yeah, so that outer shell, the main difference between the OG 250 and the new one is, as you can see, that has a foam insert
Yeah.
compared
You can
to,
see the foam in there.
compared to this guy, which is injected plastic, and yeah.
Saves the paint. Hell on hooks.
Yeah. That has a tune. So you can actually take that thing off and tune the screw eyes. As this one you can't because it's injected. But that
So
you
could actually.
can tune that bait yourself, and you can shave the weight in it. You can do anything you want, add weight. That's why the OGs are more sought after, because they're more fluid. The sink rate's more, I would say, not because the new ones too are pretty, even out and distributed.
Consistent.
Yeah, consistently going. But
It definitely has a different feel for a hard bait.
yeah, that soft shell. I think that's why they eat the 250 better too, because they feel that soft shell compared to a hard bait too, and I think it
they
helps
hang
them
hang on to it just a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Enough that you can get that
I
hit
really
on 'em.
feel like those hooks are really small in that though too.
yeah. So those actually, I was fishing a lot of water, and I noticed I was having a lot of followers, because normally, as you can see, I run quads on them, and those look more natural, right, with that and bigger split rings. But I was having a lot of fish come up and like kind of just hitting it like they didn't really want to commit. And then I downsized and I ended up getting some fish. So sometimes that's why I was talking about earlier, downsizing to upsize your bites. Mike Gilbert, as I was talking about earlier
Gilbert
too.
talks about that. He talks about running smaller hooks. On
Yeah,
things.
and that's why too, kind of like with as I was talking about too, my terminal tackle for like my split rings and my snaps are all decoy. A little smaller than owner.
Yeah, which snaps are you using?
I use the EX snaps. I use egg snaps as well for some of the other
I
stuff.
myself use egg snaps, but I'm not throwing big baits.
Yeah, I like the EX snaps. I've never had an issue with them opening up.
Yes,
I've
you
had
can see.
one egg snap
That's what they
bend
look
on
like.
me, but I still have them and I still use them. Like, I think some baits fish better with certain snaps, or some baits fish, like, as you can tell, like all my UFOs, have a split ring. But like as like some of my other baits, like the G flag and the tiny clash and the twitch craw have snaps, or like that 250 I need to put a snap on. But that I usually fish with a snap. This one I fish with a split ring, just because I feel like the snap will open up the glide. I always use a snap or split ring almost on every bait except the soft bait, because I don't like the screw eye in the front. I feel like it can fray the line, or you'll have an issue with that. And I feel like the snap or the split ring opens up the glide a little bit more and opens it more freely.
Yeah, it lets it free up.
Yep.
I run snaps on all my hard baits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then direct tie on my soft baits.
We got a question for you. What hooks are you putting on your 250s?
Most of the time I run the decoy quads. I really like these. I run these on my Hinkle as well. These are the decoy quad, the S21 Quattros. Really good hook. Other than that,
what size?
The 1/0 on the 250. I'll go down to a 2 as well, just because they're already a slow sink. But other than that, I run these guys, which these are the ST45s, Zoe wire. So they're a lighter wire hook. Owner, yep. These are the same hooks that Mike Gilbert runs pretty much on religiously on everything. What he ran on his Hinkle, what he called his 17, I believe, or whatever, 18 on. Really good hooks. I haven't had issues with bidding them out. I run those same hooks on my Tiny Clash, on some of my other baits as well. Haven't had issues, but I've played with a lot of hooks. I played with the 36s. I do like these 41s. I just think certain baits perform better with certain hooks. Like you guys like the triple grips by Mustad.
Yeah.
I personally don't. I don't.
But I only like it on certain baits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, and that's the whole thing with learning what kind of hooks and what fits better. Like I have a buddy that fishes the 250 with the stock hooks, and I think they're too big. They look kind of shiny. They don't look as natural. And that's kind of why I like these Quattros too, because to me they suck up to that body a little bit better, especially as a bass or a gill pattern. They kind of match that darkness of the bait. And it just looks more natural to me. That's kind of the concept and way I look at it.
Awesome. What's up, Camel Joe? Hope to see you this
happening?
weekend.
Yeah, we'll see you up there.
And then do you like throwing HUDs?
I have a love-hate relationship with HUDs. I did throw them. I had the 68 weedless. That was my first one I threw, and it was in a shad pattern. I caught fish on it. I just didn't see the size, and I heard so many good things about the HUD when I was first getting started, and I was, trying to get into it. But when I first jumped into big softies, I kind of got more into the mag and the nates after looking at what stalker trout look like, the more natural size. And then it's like, you got to think, how many times has a fish in that body of water seen a HUD?
Yeah.
Like,
So you're basically fishing the same thing you're fishing the same way as a HUD. You're just using
different style
different baits.
Yeah, that are a little more expensive, that more people are less likely to throw, that are a little harder to get, that look more natural, swim a little better, in my opinion. But I mean, I have HUDs. Like, if you want to see how I rig my HUDs, here you go. If you want to show that, and then I'll talk about it. So I cut out, obviously cut the fins, did a lot. I cut out that, I did inside the harness, I resined in a new screw eye on the front. So there's 2 screw eyes up there that you can see on the front of the nose, to where if you're trying to retrieve it straight through grass, instead of the top where the head kind of wants to go like this, it will go straight through the grass and come through the grass a little better. And then I rigged that hook where I painted the hook too with the powder paint, I believe it's called, the powder one, powder paint, yeah. And just coated it, heated the hook up, put it in the coat.
I noticed you flared the gills a little
Flare
bit.
the gills, yeah. It just looks natural in my opinion.
So he opened up these gills so that you could see them come off the body.
And then I put the little red
hits in there.
Yeah, exactly. And I just resin, cut open the bait and just use like the 5-minute epoxy resin or whatever. It holds up pretty good. But I just have
It's
those.
just a normal 8-inch, right?
Yep, just 8-inch. I don't fish the 68 or anything unless I'm going to Clear Lake and I have one of them, which I'll throw for, on the rocks down there for those fish that like to sit in the caves there and stuff. But there's so many other better baits for swim baits that you can use at Clear Lake, in my opinion, compared to a HUD.
And then you opened up these
fins. Yep, and then glued them, as you can tell. I just try to, go as natural as you can compared to like something how like a mag or a Nate's already look with a, a $30 bait. But I just think of how many people have seen the HUD. It just doesn't get bit as well for me anymore as like one of these other two baits do.
Confidence.
Yeah, confidence. Exactly. Confidence
makes a
is
big
key.
difference. Because there's no reason why this can't get bit.
Exactly.
It's just confidence.
And it still gets bit. If you look at the history the HUD was on, it was insane run.
Camel Joe says $1,000 on the table.
Probably more than $1,000.
Yeah, there's more than 1,000 just on this one wrap right here. So
there's more than 1,000 sitting right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's two 250s and then
that's a bin. So we got $250, $250, $300. This is like $300 because it's an OG, and then $200. So yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. These two are mine, and I have one more, and there's 80, 80, and 80.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as I go.
That's still expensive though, for especially like, not the beginner. I would like we were talking about earlier, if you want a bait to start off with, definitely start with the HUD or even the old Savage Gears, the pulse tails.
Mm-hmm.
Great bait to start out with.
Yeah, I have
if
some
you're
of
trying to
those.
learn. And they're cheaper.
They don't smell good though.
No, they don't, but they're cheaper. And if you're trying to learn bottom bouncing stuff like that, I recommend getting those, or even the Castaics, the old Castaics, because
they'll still get eaten.
Bottom bounce this.
Yeah,
for people that don't want to spend the $80 right away though, to learn it, to know what's down
if
there.
you want to go to $30, you can do the Savage Gear pulse tail. Definitely, I've gotten bit on that where they damn near ripped it out of my hands, but I never got a hook in them.
Yeah.
Paul says you need a 3D printer. And then what color scheme is on that mothership?
So this is his OG. This is an OG. I don't believe he does this anymore. This is his dark amber gill. I really like this one. I'll get up close. You can see there's a blue hen, orange belly. And I don't know if you can hear this in the video, but it's got a nice squeak to it. So there was a mess up with these. They used too big. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Used too big of screw eyes in it, so it created that squeak. But it's got a real nice. I mean, I have pictures of fish on my Instagram, like a pound or less on a mothership. Like,
yeah, they're not afraid to take shots.
And like we were talking about earlier, the profile very thin from the bottom, huge bait, but very thin. For instance, compared to next to my finger, pretty much same size width of my finger. They're looking at that coming from the bottom as a wake bait on top, and they're looking like this. They just see it as a nice small. Gill profile that they're coming to hit, kill, and then come back and grab. But yeah, that's the dark amber gill, I believe. Dark amber male gill, if I want to say so, if I remember correctly. But that was painted 2 or 3 years ago, and the paint's still there, perfectly fine. So his clear coat is A1.
What about the Savage Gear Roach?
So the Roach, I haven't used that. I know that's like a EU, like the Europe kind of bait that they use for the muskie and pike over there in the walleye. I haven't used them. I've seen videos like that look super sick, like the guys that will figure eight the roach or throw up in the streams over there. Definitely a good bait that gets bit. I personally haven't used it though.
I don't even know if I've heard of that one.
I don't know nothing about it.
I've probably seen it. I just don't.
Hell, I didn't know.
I always scroll through the swim bait stuff.
Sitting right here.
I always scroll through the swim bait stuff and like on Tackle Warehouse or wherever it is that I'm just like, oh look, they're all so pretty, and then I go back to the conventional stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like, we joked about it when we went to Toxic Days, right? Like,
I was working there. Did you see me? Yeah,
we saw you there.
Yeah.
But we went there and we walked around. We're like,
I don't even
swim baits here.
Yeah, I don't even know what to do with half this stuff. Like this.
You got Silly Sally's there, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I got one.
That's
too,
where I picked up the Silly Sally from, and
Great
then I also
bait, by the
picked up a bait from Caesar from one of the toxic baits.
The weight hog.
No, it's the one you said is a twitch bait.
The waking crate? No.
Oh,
A twitch bait.
I don't remember what it is. It's in the other room. It's a hard body single joint. It's got a lip on it, and you said you're just supposed to like walk it, which I was trying to.
Weight hog. Yep.
I was trying to swim it, and I was like, this thing does not look good in the water. And then I said something to him, and he's like,
slow, yeah.
No, you're doing it wrong. And I was like, so then I played with it, and I was like, okay, that looks really good, but it's not the time of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, that weight hog, for us Delta fishermen, definitely a lot of fish over 10 to 13 pounds on that bait in the Delta.
Yeah,
it's insane amount. Caesar definitely does a good job. I personally don't use his baits just because I believe there's better looking gill profiles, but the proof is in the pudding. They backs up his bait. There's so many giant fish on his bait every year, so it's
they definitely work.
Yeah,
for sure.
And Caesar's a great guy. Great.
And they
bait
work
company.
cross country. Too.
Yeah, exactly.
There's definitely times where there was actually, I forgot where I was watching. It was one of the pro circuits or something like that. And the guy picked up a bait and threw it. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a toxic bait. Like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine like you're like, you know, a Cali guy and all of a sudden you're watching live feed and a pro picks up your bait and tosses it, which he probably knows the pro. Like, he probably got the order from it, but
yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, since we're off topic a little bit, I was running at Berryessa one time, and you want to see scary as a swimbait fisherman, you forget to take your bait wraps off the front deck, and they blow going 60 plus on a bass cat, and thankfully they float. So
Yeah, with baits in it.
With baits in it, the bait wraps float. So fall 74 may be coming back soon. So definitely, if you're gonna get them, yeah.
Who made the frog bait?
The frog bait. Yeah, this is the crawler. This is Sensei Swimbaits, Austin Brown. Very cool crawler bait. Walks, you know, really loud. You can tune these as well. They have tuning videos on their Instagram. Man, they just kill it. There's already been a lot of, you know, especially in Washington, northern string bass, a lot of 7 to 8, 9 pound bass caught on this bait already. So very cool. They also make the Sensei gill, very awesome bait as well. Done really good damage as well, especially in Bass River tournaments on the Delta. With this bait, you know, I've had my honestly my best swim bait day ever. I had a 40 plus fish day on that bait on the Delta, anywhere from I believe like 6-inch fish to all the way up to I think I almost had a 6-pounder.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
really
nice.
good baits.
Yeah, it was like 580 or something like
Five,
that.
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
Any luck on the cadence trout? I have one and I have not thrown it.
I didn't even talk about that. How do they know? Hold up. Who is that?
Jose Diaz? You know who that is?
Yeah, he sounds familiar. Yeah, man, the cadence trout. Yeah, there you go.
Ooh, now you're getting them to talk.
Yeah, man.
It's an hour and a half in. We're gonna end with this.
Really good bait. Done really well with it. I have a couple buddies that stuck some giants around here.
It looks like an overgrown trash fish.
Not naming any names. Got a really good head shimmy. Really nice tail kick. Really nice hard body kick.
I like how clear that body.
Yeah, that beast hook comes out really well in that
See
bait.
how far that beast hook comes out of that.
And then his screw eye that he uses is absolutely fantastic. That comes with the bait. It goes so far into the head of the bait that you don't need another screw eye that would come on your beast hook.
Oh, so you just take that off and take the screw eye off, then use his.
He has
screw
one
eye.
that's really long and really durable.
That's dope.
And then
That's dope.
I put a nail weight in it too, just to level it out. But big fish. There's a couple. If you go on Jaw Jack's Baits, he has some rigging videos. My buddy did for him. Man, he's there's some big fish caught on it. I know.
It looks pretty.
Yeah, since it came out, and I got some of the earlier prototypes when they came out too.
And this 12-aught?
12-aught, yep, 12-aught beast hook. Those and the Jaw Jack's 8-inch shad.
Yeah.
Jaw Jack's 8-inch shad both run the 12-aught and do damage on those. A really good bait.
That's a good looking bait.
Yeah, the way that flashes
How much
too
is
in the
something
light.
like that?
$50 or something, $60. Yeah,
that's
they're not
not-
crazy, and they're pretty. They're really durable.
I think your wife just said you can buy 3 of them.
Can I buy one, honey?
Approved. Approved.
Yeah, but it's definitely a heavy bait as you can feel in your hands. You know, you definitely need a bigger rod to throw it. I throw that on the XX heavy lowdown, not the standard issue, but the workshop. So 5 to 12, just 8-footer instead of 8.6. Little like not lower price because it's still like a $360 rod, but it's, on the lower spectrum of what he makes.
Yeah.
And really good bait, man. Do really well. Highly recommend for a beast hook bait if you don't want to drag a HUD or something on the rocks, something that will pop out a little bit better, in my opinion, that doesn't have that harness that keeps it all the way down and wedges it in, something that will just thinner profile to pop up.
Do you know, guys? Do you guys know Gone Rogue Productions?
I do not.
I do not. No.
But now we're going to look it up.
Yeah,
we're definitely going to look that up.
Yeah, Gone Rogue Productions.
And then I asked if I could buy one of those, and on behalf of my wife, there was a no. Said.
Yeah, but
So-
she didn't actually say it, so
was
it must be
tight.
fine.
Yeah.
It's probably
You,
fine.
if it's there's no Oh, where is that? Vote by proxy? There's no vote by proxy on that one. So it's fine. It's fine. Polls have closed.
You just gotta, you know, he gets something. He gets to buy something. You get to get something.
Well, no.
Hold up. No. If I was gonna finish,
He gets to buy a bait. You get to buy a cheeseburger from McDonald's.
Exactly.
Perfect trade.
That's
perfect.
It's a win-win scenario.
Yeah, that is a win-win.
Just give her some.
And if she's lucky, she'll get an ice cream cone on top of that.
Right?
Yeah, you get some candy snacks or something.
Yeah.
She chimed in.
She wants to box me now.
We're in trouble now.
Yeah. Can you get other colors? Like, do they have multiple?
In the cadence?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jaw Jack, he does custom colors, whatever you want. I have that one, and then I have a custom one that matches kind of like the Nate's color that matches the DFG, so the Department of Fish and Game trout stockings, not compared to like the Lassens that are more just this straight kind of greenback silver color that we get stocked in our lakes. Those, but Jaw Jack's Hector, hit him up. He can make you any custom color you want. Pours them, gives you a good price. You know, good baits. Definitely good guide. Yeah,
it definitely is.
By the way, you're not out of the woods either.
I know.
I
know.
She said, Casey, you're gonna get it too.
Oh, I know. I got scared when she came.
It's okay.
I got scared every time she came into Fisherman's and you two weren't there. I knew either you sent them here, and if they couldn't find it, I knew I was gonna get in trouble because I couldn't find it for them.
The great news is she is vertically challenged. For those who don't know, so all you got to do, like when she starts swinging at you, you just hold your hand out and like block her forehead, and she can't reach you.
What was it? Tweedledee and Tweedledum or something? Yeah.
Tuck and roll.
Tuck and roll. There it was. Yeah. we're all in trouble now.
Now that we're all delusional, we're an hour and a half into this.
What gill is that from Sensei?
This is going to be the Sensei gill. I have it in his the candy gill is its real name. But yeah, this is going to be the bass pattern and his gill pattern. Really great job, paints. Affordable. I believe he actually has some on his website, or even just blanks.
How much
that
are
you
those?
can get like $80, $100. Really affordable price.
Really affordable.
Yeah, and great guy. He'll send you extra lips, tails if you break them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and you can even send baits back, and he'll repair them for you. Like mine did. Broke this lip 3 times. Still looks good. 50 plus fish on this, or no?
I mean, if you didn't hit rocks, you wouldn't break them.
Man, you gotta. Hey, I'm just gonna say the Delta. You gotta put it in places.
Yes,
you gotta put it in places where the fish are, and the Delta, as people may know.
I got some bash marks on some baits from that same thing.
It's forgiving and rewarding at the same time.
We're getting fired at. She said that she's going to be able to get your kneecaps. One said we could get on each other's shoulders and be.
Hence tuck and roll, because that's what they do in the movie in Bug's Life.
Yeah.
All right, now that we've gone officially into the dirt, into the weeds.
Yeah.
Thank you, Casey, for talking about all of this stuff. We're gonna go find some food because I don't know what time they close, but it's probably coming up really soon.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate all of the questions that you fielded and all the stuff. Hopefully, we don't get you too beat up this weekend. Just yell for help. If
Tom Smith has a question for you though.
And what is this?
Who's the best masturbator?
Who can bait the best?
Yeah.
I think we could all bait the best. It just depends on.
I mean, obviously, I confiscate with all these, so you know.
Yeah, he's.
I compensate with all these, so I definitely let's say.
Yeah, you got a good collection here.
Yeah. But out of those two, I don't know. You know, I definitely
We do have a couple of more years of experience.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right, now we really are in the weeds.
Yeah.
I appreciate every single one of you guys watching. Is awesome topic to talk about. Tom Smith appreciated that.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, ask them down below. Casey's on Instagram. It's just Casey Holder.
Yep, Casey Holder. Yep, just my name.
And that's CASEY. In case you do have more questions from that, any of the other brands or anything that he mentioned, don't be afraid to check in on them and see, especially like UFO baits, and
Yeah,
all those ones.
Yep, hit me up. I have good relationships with all those guys. So
We'll leave it alone.
And if you have any questions, ask them down below. You can always hit me up on Instagram, Straight Hook Fishing. And until next time, I hope you get them.